Good morning, all.
Good morning and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission's meeting for April 28th, 2021. Before we get started today, I'd like to welcome back a former employee who is rejoining the commission, and we always like to see that. It's Kelly. Good to see you. He's on the screen this morning. Kelly was with the commission's engineering division back in 2005 to 2011. And he returns to us today to rejoin the engineering division. During his time away from us, he was with both the United States Patent and Trademark Office, as well as the National Transportation Safety Board as an accident investigator. And Mr. Amiba has a bachelor's degree in power systems and electrical engineering, as well as a master's degree in environmental policy and management. Kelly, it's good to have you back on the team, and welcome back to the PSC.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
As we begin our meeting this morning, we have meeting minutes to approve from our last meeting of April 21st, 2021. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The meeting minutes are approved. Mr. Secretary, the consent agenda, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There is one item on today's consent agenda. It's a joint application from PEG Bandwidth Maryland LLC and Unity National LLC for approval to participate in certain financing arrangements.
Seeing no questions from the commissioners, I would move that with respect to item number 1, that we note the applicant's participation in the financing arrangements of their parent company and affiliates. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
And Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
Just making sure everybody is awake at this hour. I vote aye. The motion is approved. Mr. Secretary, the administrative agenda, please.
Mr. Chairman, item number 2 on today's administrative agenda is a notice from AT&T Corp. Of discontinuance of residential local service. On this item for staff, we have Olivia Kirkendall and Lloyd Spivak, and for the company, Dennis Dunn, Kelly Fennell, and Joseph Monahan.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Kirkendall.
Good morning, commissioners and Mr. Chairman. Olivia Kirkendall on behalf of staff. On March 26, 2021, AT&T Corp. Filed a notice to discontinue its residential local service effective May 3, 2021. The company provided adequate notice to its customers and its underlying providers. As stated in staff's comments, AT&T still has over 2,000 customers that will lose service on May 3rd if they have not switched providers. The company has indicated to staff that if a customer has a pending order to switch service to another carrier on May 3rd, the disconnection will not take place until the order for replacement service is processed. Staff is aware of 3 complaints that were made about the pending discontinuance of service due to customers' trouble transferring to Verizon service. Staff recommends that the Commission note the filing, though the Commission could take action to delay the date of disconnection if they believe it is in the public interest to do so due to the number of customers still on service with AT&T. Thank you, and I am available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Kirkendall. Counsel for AT&T.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commission. First, I want to thank staff for their thorough analysis. I think we had a productive dialogue with staff. As staff has noted, we began our notice process to customers approximately 90 days prior to May 3rd, even though 30 days is customary and required. We had gone through this process in about 16 states last year, and learning from lessons learned, we thought it was a good idea to get started early. We sent a 90-day notice, a 30-day notice, most recently a 7-day notice, followed up with 2 bill messages in March and April, and we've been making auto dialed calls to remaining customers. Not calling everyone every day because we don't want to overload our systems, but making multiple calls to each of the remaining customers. And our experience in Maryland has been consistent with the other 7 states that we're running simultaneously. Human nature being as it is, there was an early influx of customers disconnecting, and we expect we'll see something near the tail end, but there will be customers who simply choose to do nothing and allow the service to expire. There's probably the wireless only customers. And as staff noted, if there are pending orders, they will take precedence over any efforts to discontinue. So as a mechanical matter, no one will be shut off if they are waiting to get ported to Verizon or another carrier. And we're available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have questions of the parties? Commissioner O'Donnell.
Chairman, I wanted to ask Mr. Monahan, how many customers do you expect will just drop off the cliff on May 3rd?
Statistically, based on experience in other states, I think we'd be looking at somewhere in the range of 800 to 1,200, something in that range.
Yeah, that's a significant number of customers. And have you completed one of these in another state, gone through the whole process?
Yes, 16 states last year.
Okay.
Not the Verizon states are being done simultaneously.
So in those states that you've completed the process, what does the typical customer who does drop off the cliff, in other words, in Maryland, that 800 to 1,200 customers, what should we expect will happen with them after the service is discontinued?
Our experience has been that we didn't hear from them. So we suspect they have already arranged wireless. So there'd be no reason for them to disconnect. We'll just stop billing them. So the do nothing option for those customers. And our experience was we did not receive any complaints or people wondering what had happened.
Okay, so there was no political blowback, no uproar, no nothing.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
The questions. Mr. Dunn, if you could please mute your system. We're getting feedback from your computer. I will move that we note the filing. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, item number 3 on today's agenda consists of revised tariff pages from Washington Gas Light Company in compliance with order number 89799 and Washington Gas's rate case, case number 9651. On this item for staff, we have Olivia Kirkendall, Peter Wilson, and David Valcarengi, and for the company, Jim Wagner, John Dodge, and also we have Fran Francis and Tim Oliver.
Thank you. Good morning, staff.
Good morning again, Chairman and Commissioners, Olivia Kirkendall on behalf of staff. On April 16th, 2021, Washington Gas Light Company, or WGL, filed revised tariff pages to comply with order number 89799 and case number 9651. The filing seeks Commission acceptance of the proposed tariff revisions with an effective date of April 9th, 2021, and includes revisions to the company's base rates the interruptible delivery service tariff pages, and the purchase gas charge tariff page. Staff identified staff identified differences between the proposed base rate filed on April 16, 2021, and the rates that staff believes comply with the order. WGL filed revised tariff pages on April 23, 2021 under the mail log number 234944 that reflects staff's recommended rates. Staff reviewed the proposed rates and tariff language and recommends that the Commission accept the revised tariff pages for filing with an effective date of April 9, 2021. Additionally, the Commission's orders authorizes WGL to collect any unbilled revenue from the Revenue Normalization Adjustment provision found in the General Service Provision number 30 of the company's tariff. And I am available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Kirkendall. We'll next turn to counsel for the Apartment and Office Building Association of Metropolitan Washington.
Your Honor, we are supporting the staff's modified rates, and we believe that's what's being proposed. And we are supportive of that. And Mr. Tim Oliver is available to answer questions.
Thank you. We will turn to counsel for Washington. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. John Dodge appearing on behalf of Washington Gas. I'm joined by my colleague, Jim Wagner, who is our Assistant Vice President for Rates and Regulatory Affairs. We have nothing to add except to confirm that our revised tariff sheets do comport with the staff's modified recommendation, and we are available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have questions of this filing and staff's recommendation? Seeing none, I'll make a motion. But Mr. Dodge, have you already filed revised tariff sheets, or will you need to?
I believe that the sheets that Ms. Kuykendall just referenced are the final tariff sheets. They do match up with staff's modified rates, so we do not need to file a second or clean set.
Okay, so I'll revise the proposed motion to approve the tariff sheets that were previously revised as reflected in staff's comments dated April 22nd, 2020, with an effective date of April 9th, 2021, and allow the company to collect any unbilled revenue through the Revenue Normalization Adjustment provision found in the General Service Provision number 30 of the company's tariff. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, item number 4 is the annual STRIDE reconciliation factor filing of Columbia Gas of Maryland, Inc. On this item for staff, we have James Greger, Carlos Acosta, Olivia Kirkendall, and Lucy Shea. And for the company, Megan Moore, Rebecca Danhires, and Ken Fillion.
Good morning, Ms. Shea.
Actually, sir, I'll take this up front. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. James Greger on behalf of Commission staff. Columbia Gas of Maryland, Inc. has filed its STRIDE reconciliation filing for calendar year 2020, the third year of Columbia's STRIDE 2. Staff has reviewed the filing and found the calculations to be accurate. After reconciliation, which is based on actual 2020 collections, STRIDE rates for residential customers, which are at the cap, will remain unchanged. Rates for CNI high and medium customers will decrease slightly, and rates for CNI low customers will increase slightly. Mr. Carlos Acosta of the Engineering Division, Ms. Lucy Shea of Accounting Investigation Division, and Ms. Olivia Kirkendall of Telecommunications, Gas, and Water Division are available to answer any questions you may have on this matter. Therefore, staff recommends that the Commission accept for filing the company's proposed tariff revisions effective May 1st, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greger. We'll turn to counsel for Columbia Gas.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Megan Moore on behalf of Columbia. I also have with me Rebecca Danhires from our Regulatory and Rates Department, as well as Ken Fillion from Engineering. The company appreciates staff's analysis, and we have nothing to add, but we are here for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Do commissioners have questions on Columbia's filing? Seeing none? None? I would move that we accept the tariff revisions for filing with an effective date of May 1st, 2021. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell, Commissioner Linton,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved. Yesterday was a very long day. I suspect today will be equally as long. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, item number 5 is the annual STRIDE reconciliation and project cost variance information and STRIDE rate true-up information from Baltimore Gas and Electric Company. On this item, staff, we have Michael Dean, Afton Howard, John Burkowski, John Clemenson, Jamie Smith, Mark Riley, Ben Baker, and Kobe Anam. And for the company, Dan Herson, Colin Tidings, Kevin Nelson, Daniel Marcus, and Lynn Fiery.
Thank you. That's about 24 people. We'll start with Ms. Howard. Good morning.
Your Honor, Mike Dean on behalf of staff for the presentation.
Hi, Mr. Dean. Good morning, all the lawyers today. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Baltimore Gas and Electric Company filed its 2020 Strategic Infrastructure Development and Enhancement, or STRIDE program, project cost variance information and rate true-up information on March 15, 2021. The applicable law is the same as the previous item. Staff's engineering division reviewed all the information provided on the work and provided their comments in the staff write-up, including comments on the variances. Staff also reviewed the financial information and the program costs and verified that the information was accurate. Staff recommends that the commission accept for filing the company's 2020 STRIDE program and project cost variance and reconciliation with an effective date of May 1, 2021. Staff further recommends that the commission require BGE to continue to include all projects that are not finalized, i.e. old pipe abandoned, new pipe installed, and all restoration work done in subsequent project lists. And as noted earlier, we have various staff people willing to discuss the filing and our recommendations. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor, and the team that has reviewed this filing. We'll turn to Baltimore Gas and Electric Company.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Daniel Herson for Baltimore Gas and Electric. And as it was pointed out, I'm joined today by several of my colleagues from our gas operations and pricing and tariff departments. I want to first thank staff for its thorough analysis of our filing. I don't have a formal presentation to make this morning, but I did want to highlight a few points regarding our performance in 2020. By any measure, 2020 was a difficult year given the global pandemic and its impact on our customers, contractors, and employees. We did have several instances of customers refusing BGE access to properties due to COVID concerns, which impeded some of the asset replacement progress we were making before COVID arrived. But notwithstanding those challenges, overall, we were able to push through those challenges and complete substantial amounts of work in calendar year 2020. We continued our focus on low pressure main removal. We removed over 50 miles of low pressure gas main. That's a 5% reduction in our total system totals. And we also removed over 8,100 low pressure gas services. That's a 5.7% reduction in our system totals. We completed 1,200 more gas service replacements than what we expected at the start of the year. We abandoned or replaced approximately 47 miles of outmoded cast iron and bare steel main and over 11,400 services. And we installed nearly 49 miles of new gas main, which was about 5% more than expected. In a nutshell, we found we were able to effectively shift resources as needed to keep the work crews engaged during the pandemic and despite the customer access issues. You know, for example, on a project, we would focus on new main installation as we work through some of those delays on abandoning the old main due to the customer access issues. So overall, 2020 was what we would consider to be a productive year in the face of some challenging and significant obstacles. So thank you for your time and consideration, and my colleagues and I are available to take any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Herson. Do the commissioners have questions of the parties? Commissioner Herman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Herson, do you have any objection to doing the additional reporting that's contained in the motion that Mr. Dean discussed?
Commissioner Herman, we do not. We have no objection to that. In fact, we're actually doing that right now. If we know, as we're putting together a project list, that a project will technically be complete, but that we're going to have some paving and restoration costs that carry over into the following calendar year, we're going to include that project on that list, even though it's just for those paving and restoration costs. If for some reason we did not anticipate incurring those costs and we did, then we would highlight that on the mid-year report and the variance report from the following calendar year. And that's what we did in this instance. We actually noted that one particular project incurred some paving and restoration costs in Q1 2020, even though it wasn't on the 2020 project list. In short, we have no objection to staff's recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to note, give a note of thanks to the company for continuing its focus on low pressure main and service replacements and removals. Getting that stuff out of the ground, I think, is essential. And BG&E has done a good job continuing to focus on that, and I would encourage them to continue to do that.
Thank you.
Seeing no other comments or questions, I would move that with respect to item number 5, that we accept the company's 2020 STRIDE program for filing. Accept the filing for the company's 2020 STRIDE program and project cost variance and reconciliation with an effective date of May 1st, 2021, and direct the company to continue to include all projects that are not finalized in subsequent project lists. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Winton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman, our last item today is item number 6, the annual STRIDE report of Washington Gas Light Company, and case number 9486. For staff, we have Michael Dean, Afton Howard, John Burkowski, John Clemenson, Jamie Smith, Felix Patterson, Ben Baker, and Nagusi Tesfaye. For the company, Jack Morrow, Wayne Yakas, Dave Thomas, Charles Jackson, Matt Esmacher, Andrew Lawson, and John Dodge.
Thank you. We'll begin with staff.
Good morning, Chairman, and good morning, Commissioners. Nagusi Tesfaye on behalf of the Commission staff. Item 6 is Washington Gas Light Company STRIDE reconciliation filing for the calendar year 2020. That is the third year of WGL's STRIDE 2. We are using the revised staff comments dated April 27, 2021. The applicable law for this filing is the same as the 2 prior STRIDE items. The staff comments detail the review by the engineering division or the pipeline safety group of the work performed on the company's gas distribution system under the STRIDE program. As part of the work, the company reports that it replaced 365 mercury service regulators in 2020 STRIDE activity. The calendar year 2020 reconciliation showed that WGL over-collected $243,591. Staff has reviewed the revenue requirement calculations in WGL's calendar year 2020 STRIDE annual report, which includes the calendar year 2020 reconciliation STRIDE factors, and believes that the calculations are accurate. Currently, the proposed STRIDE surcharges are below the proposed surcharge caps, and each customer will experience decrease in its monthly stride surcharge. Staff recommends that the Commission accepts the proposed surcharge filing to be effective May 1, 2021. Mr. Felix Patterson of the Accounting Investigation Division, Ms. Afton Howe of the Telecommunications, Gas and Water Division, and myself from the Engineering Division are available to answer any questions you may have on this matter. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tesfaye. We'll turn to Council for Washington Gas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's John Dodge appearing on behalf of Washington Gas. Joining me this morning are some combination of Wayne Akis, Andrew Lawson, Dave Thomas, and Mr. Esmacher could not join us. His division was tabbed for mandatory drug testing this morning, so he sends his apologies. Just a few notes along the lines of Mr. Herson's presentation. We are very pleased to share that 2020 was a very productive year despite the pandemic environment. We replaced nearly 20 miles of main. That's an 18% increase over the forecast. Over 3,600 services. That's a 1% increase in what we forecast. Almost 2,100 meters, 146 gauge lines, and as Mr. Tesfaye just mentioned, 365 mercury service regulators. On that last data point, I wanted to remind the Commission that during the course of Stride 1 and Stride 2, the company has always replaced found mercury service regulators. Given the sensitivity and our new reporting obligations in case 9622, we decided to call out in our Stride annual report the MSRs that we are replacing incidental to Stride service replacements. So nothing new operationally, but it's a new data point for the Commission to consider in our report. We completed 9 of 11 transmission projects in 2020. The 2 that were rolled over into 2021 are because of easement issues, but we do expect both of those to be pipe complete. That is old pipe out of service, new pipe in service by the end of calendar year 2021. Our cost variance was within 8% of our original estimates, and most of that was driven by county and municipal paving costs that we cannot at this point accurately estimate. I believe under the local government article of Maryland statutes, counties and municipalities are authorized to direct utilities to restore and pave surface streets. And we have, as we pointed out in our recently concluded rate case, we have encountered more and more the field inspectors for county and municipals directing us after our underground work is done to do a greater scope of paving on residential streets than one might reasonably anticipate. And because of their statutory authority and their discretion for their field inspectors, we have to abide that. We are taking a very close look at that and trying to develop new estimating techniques to take into account those higher costs to bring down our overall programmatic cost variances. Lastly, I would say that in response to Commission concerns, we have very much focused in the last 12 to 15 months on pipe complete. Again, old pipe out of service, new pipe that is being paid for through the surcharge or base rates in service. And we've had quite good success in focusing on that, and we will continue to do so. With that, I will close my remarks and invite any questions that the commissioners may have, and I may be traffic cop and send it off to one of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. I was pleased to see the incremental progress that the company is making on some of these very important replacements. Do the commissioners have questions? Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dodge, could you or someone on your team apprise the Commission of your work getting low pressure mains and services out of the ground, please?
Certainly, Commissioner. I will turn it over to Wayne Akis, but I want to assure you that we continue to keep a very close eye on our low pressure operations, separate and apart from our replacement activities. We are following the urgent protocols that we put into place after the Andover incident, and we continue to abide by all new federal and state regulations or recommendations. So it is top of mind for us, no doubt, and I'll let Mr. Akis address the replacement side of your question.
I appreciate that. I just, before Mr. Ackes proceeds, keeping an eye on it and comporting with the federal requirements is a good thing. Of course, you're going to do that. Understand that, but I'm interested. My question is asked in light of strategic infrastructure replacement. So hopefully Mr. Ackes will shed some light on that. I know your operational awareness is heightened, but I want to know when we're getting this stuff out of the ground.
So currently we have replaced over 3.5 miles worth of low pressure main in this year in 2020. And I apologize, I'm using my phone because my computer crashed. So I'm trying to adapt here. So from a long-term plan, currently our low pressure system is safe. And as Mr. Dodge has said, that we have all the process and procedures in place to protect the customers and so forth. But as far as its replacement is concerned, it's ranked based on the company's current risk ranking tool. So as it comes available from a risk ranking perspective in the risk model, then it becomes comes up for replacement currently.
Yeah, I see a distinct difference in focus between the two major gas utilities in the state with regard to replacing low pressure service, and we can say all the nice words we want, but for me, in my opinion, it's an existential threat to your company and to our citizens, and we got to get it out of the ground. And I don't quite see the focus at Washington Gas that I wish I would see.
But we always appreciate your comments on this, Commissioner O'Donnell, and believe me, they do resonate in our company. As I can only repeat, it remains top of mind for us operationally, and we don't want to bring a new program to the Commission's attention, for example, to suggest that it is more risky than we think it is currently today. So we're in a bit of a trick box. We do treat it, as Wayne said, in our overall programmatic risk ranking. And the moment we see any hint that low pressure is moving up on that Optimain or direct observation risk ranking, I think we'll come knocking on the Commission's door.
I appreciate that. I don't want us collectively to take the approach that we got to wait until a terrible auto accident occurs at an intersection before we stick a new traffic light in and fix the problem.
Seeing no additional questions or comments, I would move that with respect to item number 6, that we accept the tariff revisions for filing with an effective date of May 1st, 2021. The vote begins with Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion is approved. Before we adjourn today, just a programming note that the multi-year rate case for Pepco in case number 9655 will start promptly at 10:45 a.m. this morning. This meeting is now adjourned.